His lack of relation to anything cheese is very upsetting.
Bond is obviously on steroids.
He can catch the milk trucks as they're being stolen.
Also, what does this have to do with cheddar cheese? I'm so confused. Catherine has given birth to a lizard.
But they give maternity leave for that in the U.S. if you give birth to a lizard.
Commonwealth, Commonwealth, the former empire, now Commonwealth. Is it relevant? Probably not. But why not give this part a shot? Stay tuned. Here comes Uncommonwealth, the podcast.
And we are so live. Yay!
So live.
You're so live. Uncommonwealth podcast, you guys.
All right, first segment of this week's episode. It's a favorite of mine. It's another rendition of What's New with Jimmy's Dad.
All right.
Yeah.
This is a segment where I just relay what I've learned in the most recent FaceTime phone call I make with my dad, who lives in a rural area of Australia. And every time I call him to catch up and have a bit of a chat, he has the weirdest stories, usually involving Australia's wildlife. Now, before I get into the story, I have to first ask, do any of you guys know what a goanna is?
Yes. It's like a large monitor lizard.
Yes. These things are closely related to Komodo dragons. So they're massive lizards. They can grow up to 2.5 meters in length.
Oh.
Very big lizards, and they've got really big claws, and they're known as great tree climbers, and they're very quick. So when they get startled, like, they're not aggressive. They won't attack humans. They'll run away from humans.
Are you trying to trick us into doing an animal segment and a Jimmy's Dad segment in one?
The problem is, I mean, you know what I'm like, and it's clearly a genetically inherited trait. So most stories about my dad involve some kind of animal attack. But but one thing, this is a crazy thing about the goannas, is they can mistake humans for trees. So there have been like a lot of cases where people have been attacked, in air quotes, by goannas, but it's when a goanna gets startled and mistakes a human for a tree and then runs up the human. So people kind of have their backs mauled.
Oh.
Because these lizards are huge, and they've got these giant talons, and they'll climb up your back and just kind of rip your back apart. Anyway, so this story is, so I was chatting to Dad, and he's recently done his kitchen flooring, his kitchen and like part of the living area. He's got these like hardwood floors that he's renovating his whole property.
Oh, I assumed your dad's house floors were just dirt.
Whatever's best for the
ducks or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
But okay.
Yeah,
Hardwood. Wow.
I feel like snakes don't like hardwood, but
no. Well, as it turns out, neither do goannas.
Oh, no.
My dad's been renovating his house. He's doing a great job. Like, he's got an awesome kitchen. But anyways, he's got these hardwood floors. And one day recently, he, I guess he's had the front door left open, but a goanna came inside and then realized, wait a minute, this isn't where I parked my car, sort of thing. And Dad's come downstairs after the dog started making a bit of noise to see a giant bloody goanna in his living room. And Dad's like, holy shit, it's a fucking goanna. And the goanna had a similar reaction. But because of the hardwood flooring and because these things have massive claws, Dad was saying it was just kind of floundering about wildly, but basically kind of just like going nowhere. Like, eventually it kind of got some traction, and Dad had, like, he sort of shooed it out.
Have you ever seen a dog do that on a hardwood floor? It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they try and hit the brakes. They try and get going.
Slide.
Oh.
It's like from a cartoon. It spins real fast to get speed and then
like
shoots up.
Tom Cruise in Risky Business, who just comes sailing across the...
I like how your dad said that he accidentally left the door open, like as if there is no door.
Yeah.
He's just like
He's luring them.
Are there even walls on
luring
your dad's house?
animals.
Yeah. He accidentally left the door open with a bunch of bowls of food specifically tailored for different things. So anyway, when he told that story, and then Lauren responded, and this is the first time I'd heard my girlfriend Lauren tell this story. When she was a young teen, her and her sister, it was one of the first times their parents had like left them home alone. Maybe they were a bit younger. And they had a sliding door, but you know those doors that are weighted so that you open it and it doesn't instantly slide closed. It kind of goes slowly. So they saw a goanna in their backyard. They were outside, saw a goanna. They freaked out, went inside, but because the door closed so slowly, the goanna came in after them. They were freaking out. They were like on top of their dining room table. They called their parents in distress, screaming. So their parents had to like rush home, and their mum is like ushering this goanna with a bloody broom trying to get it out of the house. So apparently goanna entries into Australian homes is more common than I'd realized.
Is it goanna or goanna?
I say goanna. like
Is
Joanna.
but are you saying it correctly?
I actually have no idea.
Okay.
Goanna is very posh.
What if I name my baby Goanna?
I like it.
It's not bad.
Go for
I
it.
like it.
Uncommon wealth.
I've refined a segment we've only done once before, but it was fun, so I thought we'd give it another try in a simplified form. But let's cast the next woke James Bond movie.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to give you the parts and the actors, and then you guys and me have to assign the roles. So we're casting a new modern-day woke James Bond movie. So I got a working title this time. It's called Thunderfinger, okay? And
How about Thunderfinger and the Goanna?
that's fine. That doesn't really fit the James Bond paradigm of titles.
Catherine just wants to get her kid in the movie.
She's just trying to derail the segment 30 seconds in.
Oh my god, that's a great idea to cast my child. Oh.
Okay, but the roles are, of course, James Bond, the arch villain, the head of British intelligence, Moneypenny, and the love interest. So only 5 roles we have to cast. But we have to pick from the following 5 people to cast these roles: Margaret Thatcher, Wayne Gretzky, Nelson Mandela, Ben Johnson, and Jacinda Ardern.
I think
Great villain.
Wayne Gretzky should be the villain. You know that nose he has? It's like pointy, and he just looks he could be made to look evil, like a Celine Dion
Well, if he
type.
took out his dentures, he'd look pretty scary, probably. I assume he has no real teeth. He's a hockey player.
He's the opposite of Jaws, the Bond villain. Rather than having those gold teeth, he's just there gumming a bloody gondola wire.
Jacinda has very strong money, Penny.
So you're taking her from PM of New Zealand to secretary. That's an
Yes.
interesting. Okay.
Well,
That's how
one of Jacinda's
women
many
do that.
strengths. She's got that attitude of like, there's no job that's too small.
Yes.
Oh, I see. That's totally reasonable. Okay. But is Margaret Thatcher the love interest then?
Margaret Thatcher would be a good villain.
She'd
Yes,
she'd
with
be a
the-
good
with the
villain.
bag, with the handbag.
Yes.
Unlimited handbag. There's like
Also, as
got
keen
weapons.
listeners would remember, she's already got her villain name. She's Margaret Thatcher, the milk snatcher.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so she
got a
steals
villain
the
there.
world's milk.
It's a milk heist. She
Wait, so does that
steals
mean
the
Ben
world's milk
Johnson is
supply.
James Bond by default?
Yeah.
I love that you're casting James Bond last out of the cast.
Bond is obviously on steroids, so it works.
He's extremely fast.
He's in a straight line for sure.
He can catch the milk trucks as they're being stolen.
Okay, so
From
Ben
the
Johnson was
children.
James
The whole
Bond.
movie is just him chasing cows.
So who was the bad or the arch villain is Margaret Thatcher or Wayne Gretzky? That wasn't clear.
Margaret Thatcher. It was a bad call.
Gretzky could be the henchman with his stick.
I thought henchmen were terrible at shooting.
Only when they're shooting at James Bond, they always miss.
What
I thought that
other
was,
roles do we need?
Well, you haven't really decided on any of them yet, as far as I can tell.
Well, maybe Mandela can play Bond.
I think it would be most surprising if we went with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed James Bond in 2020. So Wayne Gretzky would obviously be.
Well, isn't Daniel Craig blonde hair and blue eyes?
Yeah, but
Is it,
2020.
I think Piers is saying it's 2020. We're expecting a shake-up in the
Oh,
Bond
I see.
casting. So if you're expecting,
You really wanted to get some, page views.
yeah,
You just cast an even blonder, even bluer-eyed.
So who's the love interest?
Wayne Gretzky.
We can't be both, really.
I feel like Adam secretly wants to cast Wayne Gretzky in every role.
I think Bond should be gay, and so it'd be like Ben and Wayne, or Ben or Nelson and Wayne.
By the way, Bond is always. If you go through all the Bond movies, he's always been sapiosexual. The women are always highly intelligent.
What? What does that mean?
It was meant to be a joke that the women that he sleeps with in the movies are not intelligent.
Oh.
I think Adam just wanted to show off that he knows the word sapiosexual.
It was an ironic
are?
statement.
They
I never
usually
picked
are.
up on
They're
that.
usually
pretty.
smart. Yeah, they're
Just
usually.
because they are hot doesn't mean they're not intelligent, Adam.
Oh no, there's a perfect correlation with that. Everyone knows that.
Adam, again, pretty confident that he's going to be editing this episode.
Yeah.
There's a 50-50 shot.
Dropping some bombs early on.
Dropping some bonds. What?
The podcast.
Oh.
Caught off guard again.
There is in England a man, a old fossilized man known as the Cheddar Man. He is a human male fossil found in a cave in Cheddar Gorge, Somerset, where cheddar cheese is from.
What?
And his skeletal
I love cheddar
remains
cheese.
were discovered, and they date back to the Mesolithic area, 9100 to 7100 BC.
Whoa.
And they found this guy, and they found that he died there's a giant hole in sort of orbital bone of his face. So he apparently died a very violent death at the hands of kill shot to the old cranium.
Ooh.
And so he was a big deal in England because he just proved that people had been there for so long, and also that early Britons, unlike myself, were rather dark-skinned as opposed to transparent and unable to see daylight.
How can they tell the color of someone's skin from the fossil bones?
I don't know, Adam. I'm not too familiar with the Mesolithic area outside of a podcast.
Also, what does this have to do with cheddar cheese? I'm so confused.
The story isn't actually about Cheddar Man, really. I'm just introducing Cheddar Man because a few weeks ago, they discovered that a 42-year-old history teacher in Cheddar, Somerset, is a direct DNA relative on his mother's side to the Cheddar Man.
Oh, wow. Now, that person, they can probably just look at his skin because he's alive.
Basically, in 9,000 years, this guy's DNA has moved 7 miles.
Wow.
That's great.
His family didn't move at all in 9,000 years. They stayed in the exact same region of the world, country, whatever. And that's even the royal family can only trace their heritage back to like 800 AD. This guy goes back.
That's pretty. But to be fair, like if my family was where cheddar cheese was born, I don't think we'd move either.
No kidding. Why would you leave the global epicenter of cheddar cheese?
The thing is, the Cheddar Man there was no cheddar cheese when he was there.
Do we know that?
Of course.
Well,
no. We know that.
Maybe there was. Maybe it just hadn't become a global sensation. I'm sure.
Were there like domesticated cows? Wait, how did you make cheese?
Well, this guy got shot in the head with a gun. I'm sure there were cows.
With a gun in BC?
No.
I think you had her, Jimmy. If you'd kept going, it was a musket. It was one of those. Yeah, one of those prehistoric muskets.
He got shot in the head with a gun because he didn't pay his phone bill.
That's a good question, though. When cheese was invented,
I wish I had that ready.
I'm not saying I expect you to know that. I just think it's interesting because he's called the Cheddar Man, but he lived and died before cheddar, so it's.
He is. His lack of relation to anything cheese is very upsetting.
How did they figure out that this person was related to the Cheddar Man?
Through DNA testing.
Yeah, but like, why would they have randomly done the test?
To find out who inherits the cheddar millions.
Who gets the gorge? Yeah,
the Cheddar Empire. Want to get that cheese? I reckon Cheddar Man should be the Bond villain. That's a great villain name.
Well, but I wonder, like, a lot of people are just
the milk
doing
heist. He's stealing the milk to make the cheddar. Margaret Thatcher.
Together. And Wayne Gretzky's Bond, and he was shooting pucks at his head.
Yes,
I think this script's writing itself.
But I do think, though, people are getting DNA testing for just random reasons now with like Ancestry.com and all that stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that someone was like,
they might have his DNA on 23andMe or Ancestry.com.
Well, I'm sure they have Cheddar Man in the database, the fossilized dude for sure.
Like they have Genghis Khan, and we're all kind of related to Genghis Khan.
Would be cool if you did like the test and they came back and said you're related to the Triceratops at the New York Natural History Museum.
Uncommon Wealth.
So I can't feel my legs right now. I'm sitting cross-legged in this chair and I'm uncomfortable, and you guys can edit that out later. But it has to do with my current state. The weight on my legs. I'm pregnant, as some listeners may know.
How big are your feet?
This is also a big deal. You're the first of the 4 of us to be pregnant on the podcast, so that's pretty, good for you.
Wow, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
We've been having conversations about my maternity leave from the podcast, and so I thought it would be interesting to look up.
With pay. I want all the
There
listeners.
better be pay. And so I thought that I would look up maternity leaves around the world. Where
Oh.
men-
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Catherine, before you start, would you be opposed to having the baby live on the podcast to boost the rating?
Even if Catherine's not, I think the rest of us are.
opposed to it.
Catherine, are you like planning to leave America now after having looked up globally the maternity leave policies?
Yes, it's not coincidental that I looked this up and I am literally flying to Canada in 3 days. It is shocking though, because the US is so low on this list. It is, I mean, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and out of the top 40 richest countries in the world, it is dead last on maternity leave, paternity leave, at the policy being zero. There is no uniform policy.
Did they just make the list 40 countries long just to shit on America? I object.
Yeah. I was trying to find a list with Australia.
Yeah, 41 was New Zealand. Those.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I thought maternity leave was like golf, and the lower the better.
So right above the US at the bottom of the list is New Zealand, and Australia comes right before New Zealand.
Wait, really? We have 6 weeks paid maternity leave in Australia, I think.
Yeah, so this is very recent. It's a UNICEF's big worldwide study, and they averaged out, because the policies are all different, usually quite locally different. So there's 8 weeks pay in both Australia and New Zealand. Canada, 27 weeks.
But just to be clear, there's no, like, you need to have a job to have maternity leave.
Yes.
You don't just get paid.
What do you mean? What are you saying? That
Like, it's a moot point if you don't have a job. I'm just saying.
No,
like 27, you making it sound like you just get 27 weeks of pay.
I'm assuming
Congratulations
that when
on
I
your child.
get to Canada, I'm going to get a check that has nothing. I don't need a job. They're just going to be like, here, you deserve money for pushing this out of your.
For having little goanna.
You do little goanna. I will give you $15 if you name your child Goanna, Catherine.
Oh, big
How
spender.
I said 15. I could up that to $17.50. But you do make a good point, Adam. You do have to have a job, yes.
Of course, I have to have a job, but it's still like this on average. Which countries are. So at the top of the list are Sweden and Norway. That's not surprising.
But they also have maternity leave, right?
Yes, that's right.
But,
Sweden has 10 weeks of paternity leave.
Damn.
Isn't that awesome? Norway has 9 weeks paternity and 45 weeks. And these are at the full rate equivalent. So whatever job you have, Adam is very concerned about that for some reason.
It matters, right? Because if you're either freelance or if you run a small business, it doesn't matter.
True.
Yeah.
If you're me and you're like, I'm going to take maternity leave no matter what.
So you've been on maternity leave for several
myself.
years now, then. Is that what you're saying?
In preparation, knowing
Get
I'm
ready,
right
yeah.
on Monday,
Just
great.
warming
been a
up.
long spring training.
Like the Empire, we're almost done. We hope that you've had lots of fun. Was it relevant? Probably not. But thanks for giving this part a shot. Stay tuned for the end of Uncommon Wealth, the podcast. Stay tuned for Uncommontakes.
I left my iced coffee in the other room. And I can't move now. Like, look at this setup. I have a pillow. I'm so upset.
You can go get it in a bit.
In a bit.
In an hour.
In like an hour.
He says to the heavily pregnant woman.
Uncommon Wealth.
Do goannas eat ducks? Goannas?
Yeah, they do. They eat anything they can get their hands on.
Oh my god!
But they everything they eat it whole. They don't chew it up. So the size of goanna's food is based on the size of the goanna itself.
We
only have an hour here, Jimmy. So if you want to run the
I
light,
keep getting asked questions. Don't blame me.
Pierce was next, but it's Adam. You should just jump in.
all right. I was trying, and then Piers asked about ducks.
Well, is the duck alive?
Are you just going to start going through every animal we've ever talked about to see what would win? How would a duck do against a loon? How would a goanna do against a...
Oh, a new segment.
The podcast.
Can I go get my coffee?
Are you going to get your coffee or are you going to go to the bathroom?
Both.
Yeah.
But so fast.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody,
Yes.
2 minutes?
This is like my maternity leave from this podcast. It's a microcosm.
Not paid.
Uncommonwealth, the podcast.